Hey guys, Luke here. Welcome back to another video. Today is going to mark the first week of Building Scarif in Lego, and so it's going to be the planning phase, so how big the MOC is going to be, all the action in the MOC, what's going to take place in this MOC, where everything's going to go, the characters and the vehicles that will be in here, and the different techniques that I'm going to use. So, if you're excited and you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, and if you really enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. So, to start today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my research process. I think this is a very important part of MOC building because it is where the inspiration and creativity comes from. I also think this is very important for you guys to see because it allows you to hopefully better understand certain design choices that I'll be making throughout the series. This allows you guys to also visualize what the MOC will look like when it's done. As you can see, I'm looking for an image to use as a reference, which will be inspiring the MOC for the majority of the series. The image I chose depicts the landing pad and bunker in the foreground, which will be the main focus of the MOC. So, now that you've seen what I'm going to be building, let's move on to laying out what the MOC will actually look like. So, as you can see here, I'm starting to lay out the MOC, and I started incredibly small. I started on two by two green base plates, and so now you can see, because I want it to be as accurate as possible to the source material, I'm expanding another base plate wide, and in the next clip I will be transferring this over to a green base plate, so it will be 2 by 3 green base plates as the dimensions. And so now, after I figured out how big I wanted everything and where I wanted everything, I'm transferring it over to the 2 by 3 green base plates to make it look cleaner. And I really wanted to capture everything from the bunker to the landing pad, and I want everything to be as accurate as possible. So this is me carefully tracing over everything onto each base plate and figuring out where exactly everything goes. So, this is what the final layout is going to look like. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but there's so much more detail to add. So, this is where the bunker is going to be, and then you move down, there's a little communications tower, and then moving down further, there's the landing pad. The green bricks represent the jungle and the grass areas, and the tan bricks represent where the beach meets the water. And then up there in the top right corner, that's going to be a turret. So this is very accurate to the image I found, and I'm very excited to keep going. So now that you've seen the final layout, let's move on to building. So now I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the building process. So you can see I'm putting down the tan tile and ripping it up. And then I'm going to start placing dark tan plate, and that's going to represent the wet sand, and where the tan tile is going, that's going to represent where the water is going to go. I'm using a technique for the water where I stack tiles on their sides, and it creates a really clean water effect. And now I'm transferring over where the jungle is going to go onto those tan plates, so where the sand's going to be, and I'm putting in a bunch of filler brick to get the plates to match the height that the wet sand is at. So let me show you what progress I made. I want to take a quick break just to show you guys where I'm at. Next, there's going to be a trench implemented, and we're going to be building up the jungle. The trench is in that scene in the movie where the Death Troopers come in. So let's get into building. I started by creating an outline for the trench. I felt this was very important so I can add a little bit of detail. There's a lot more that's going to come with the trench, but right now I wanted a basic idea. Next, I moved on to creating the outline for the jungle and then transitioning inwards. I wanted to get that transition from a sandy green and olive green into the really dark greens, and I think I did this really nicely, even though it was challenging at first. So we're looking at a slightly finished product now. As you can see, that's the trench. I decided to incorporate a little bit of dark tan. Moving on to the jungle, I thought this turned out really nicely, and I could not be happier with it. The way I transitioned from that sand and olive green up into the dark green, I think it looks really nice, and when we add the plants there, it's going to look really, really cool. And now here's a better look at what I did. I'm showing you guys everywhere around, because I want you to see every bit of detail I packed in, and I'm going to be adding a frame as well. And those gaps there, I'm going to try and put Technic bricks so then we can connect all the tiles together. Here, I used that slope piece a lot for the trench. I thought it works really, really well as a natural transition piece, as well as all those smaller pieces. And here's the jungle again. I decided to add some characters in there, some troopers patrolling, just to make it feel more alive. I thought it just turned out so well, and I really could not be happier with how it looks. Here's the black border that I added in. I decided not to have the black border just be the stopping point of that jungle mound. That's because it did not look good to me. So I feel like a lot of people would ask that question of, oh, where does it go? like what happens to that. And so I really wanted to try and incorporate the jungle into the black border a little bit just to give it that much more character. And I feel like it was very successful in that goal. The purpose of the black border wasn't only to make it look clean, but it was also to keep the tiles in order. So now that you've heard my thought process behind the border and everything we've done today so far, let's move on to the minifigures. Now onto the fun part, which is figuring out which minifigures are going to be in the MOC. Luckily, when the Rogue One sets were out, I actually bought every single one of them. So I had all the minifigures and plenty more that I can use in this MOC. So it was really easy for me to figure out which ones I can and cannot use. I also separate my minifigures by faction to make it easier to find the characters for the MOCs that I do. Now, let's see which minifigures I chose to use. These are the characters I decided to use. Because I bought most of the Rogue One sets when they released, I actually had every single character that was necessary. And I want to use all of them in the MOC, or as many as possible, because I don't want to overpopulate the MOC, because that could just look messy in the end. But because I have so many of the characters, I just want to use as many as possible. Other notable things are the vehicles. I'm deciding to use the TIE Striker and the U-Wing because I believe those are the two most iconic vehicles from the battle itself. And yeah, that's everything. So let's move on to the outro. We covered a lot of ground this week, and I'm very excited to continue into the next 2 weeks and see what more we cover. The plans for the next 2 weeks are actually the landing pad area. I'm going to be building it entirely snot, so studs not on top, and I'll explain more what that means in the next episode. But if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, and if you really enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next week with another video. Bye!